More lies in Shiny Happy People.
Mr. Gothard had always projected this image that he only took a very small portion of money. He drove a very old car. I found out that the entire Gothard family was living incredibly extravagantly off of the Institute's money.
Were Bill Gothard and his family living extravagantly off IBLP money? That's the claim from Brooke Arnold and Joshua Pease in the Amazon Prime hit piece docuseries Shiny Happy People. Is this true? And for those who watched the other video about Brooke Arnold's lies, at the end of this video, I will also reveal another piece of new information that shows that it is extremely unlikely that the alleged visit to Gothard's house by Brooke Arnold ever actually happened. The producers of Shiny Happy People seem to team up Joshua Pease and Brooke Arnold a lot to spin the narratives they wanted to promote. Here, the narrative is that Bill Gothard and his family were living extravagantly off IBLP money. Yet, in the very same program, several times, it's claimed that he drives an old car and lives in the same house he grew up in. So which is it? Was Bill Gothard living extravagantly or not? And what about family members who were supposedly living extravagantly off IBLP money? Something seemed really contradictory and off about all this to me. The first clue that this is a completely made-up tale is the supposed evidence the Shiny Happy People producers put in the docuseries. Usually when people are living in an extravagant lifestyle in a fraudulent or scandalous way, and a documentary or news program exposes it, you see pictures of mansions and fancy cars and private jets and luxurious vacation trips around the world. Isn't that what extravagant living would mean to most of us? Yet they didn't show hardly any pictures. So I asked myself, why is that? I found out fairly easily why. They have to show the Duggars, IBLP and Gothard as hypocrites, and then link them to homeschoolers and Christians to damage them all. Pease says IBLP and Gothard were not being authentic and living simply as they claimed, doing exactly the opposite of what they are supposed to represent. And then he claims there were gold-plated hallways and private jets.
He came across as authentic, but IBLP is modeling the exact opposite of everything that it claims to represent. Instead of simplicity, you're going to see planes, you're going to see gold-plated hallways.
So basically, Pease is saying Gothard was lying to claim he was living simply and was actually living lavishly. I researched the origin of the pictures they showed. The first one was of a beautiful pool in what looks like a lavish mansion-type setting. This pool is actually at a property in Mexico, not far from Guadalajara, that was once owned by the IBLP organization. There were ministry events held there, but Mr. Gothard nor his family ever lived there or owned this property. The only time any of them would have visited this site was during an IBLP event that would have been held there. So, where are the lavish mansions that his family lived extravagantly in? There are none. The next picture is of a jet, and Pease says, "You're going to see planes." The truth of this picture is there was a jet owned by IBLP to get Gothard and his team from one event to another because he was doing seminars all over the world and could not rely on commercial travel to get them where they needed to go on time every week. In fact, because it gave the impression of luxury and pride, Mr. Gothard asked IBLP to sell the jets they had for the good of the ministry. He did not own these jets, nor did his family, and he did not profit in any way from them. He wasn't flying around the world vacationing with his family in these jets, or otherwise for that matter. Then there was the gold-plated hallways claim. This picture was of a training center, not in any of the Gothard family homes. The picture just shows a nice room with a fireplace and couches with red carpet. It does look extravagant to me. There is no gold anywhere. The fact is, there were no gold-plated hallways in Bill Gothard's home, at any of his family members' homes, or at any IBLP facilities. That was just another lie. So the first clue of how skewed and false these allegations were was pretty easy to find out with a very surface amount of digging. Yet Shiny Happy People producers tried to make it look legitimate by using pictures that seemed like they were supporting this false narrative. Again, they had an agenda to feed, and they did it by misrepresenting the pictures and using the false claims of Joshua Pease and Brooke Arnold. And another false claim is that the seminars and the ATI homeschool program were very expensive. Brooke claims that her family was financially struggling as Bill Gothard and his family were living extravagantly off IBLP money.
My family struggled to pay for the seminar because it was very expensive, and the homeschool program was very expensive.
The truth of the matter is that the fee to go to a basic seminar was $45. I believe a couple could go for a total of $75. This included the entire seminar, that was at least 23 hours of lecture sessions, but also it included a lifetime membership in IBLP alumni, which would allow you to attend the seminar for life anywhere in the world they were being held without paying the fee again. Some people paid the fee once and attended the seminars every year. The advanced seminar was set up in the same way. Is that very expensive? Once again, did the Shiny Happy People producers check out any of Brooke's claims? I don't think so. Or they did and didn't want to clarify that $45 for a lifetime of attendance was what they considered to be very expensive. The cost of the homeschool ATI program for as many children as were in a family was only $600 per year and may have increased over the years to about $975. This was including all materials for as many children as were in one family and 2 parent guides. Also, monthly videos were sent out to homeschool council coordinators around the country to help groups of homeschoolers. The materials included workbooks, quiz sheets, and language arts books for each child, no matter how many children you had. If anyone listening to this video has checked out the cost of homeschool materials and curriculums, you can be assured this was not expensive at all, especially for large families that would have had to purchase separate enrollment and materials for multiple children in other homeschool programs. Remember in this clip, Brooke says Gothard claimed he only took a small portion of money from IBLP.
Mr. Gothard had always projected this image that he only took a very small portion of money. He drove a very old car.
So what was Mr. Gothard's salary? How much money did he take from IBLP? In my investigation, I found that Mr. Gothard had a salary of only $12,000 per year when the ministry became solvent enough to provide a paycheck. When he left, decades later in 2014, he was only receiving $24,000 per year, and that's for more than full-time work, which is considered to be 40 hours per week. Gothard worked many more hours per week than that. The average income in 2014 was over $53,000 per year, which means Mr. Gothard was receiving less than half that. The next president of IBLP after Mr. Gothard left was paid $50,000 per year for the same job, more than twice what Mr. Gothard was paid, because the amount Mr. Gothard was receiving was so small and insufficient for most people to take for a full-time employment. Mr. Gothard also did not get paid anything for the books he wrote, which were sold through the IBLP organization during his time as head of it. He wanted the proceeds to advance the ministry, so he took no income from those materials and books. There were some members of Mr. Gothard's family who were employed at IBLP facilities. So I talked to the IBLP head of finance and others who had access to the salaries of members of Mr. Gothard's family to see if any of them were making an extravagant amount of money off IBLP for their employment. The salaries they received were well within the regular amount for the types of jobs they were doing within the ministry. There were no salaries that could be in any way construed as being extravagant. I also asked about housing, vacations, cars, etc. of both Mr. Gothard and family members. As far as Mr. Gothard goes, he's never owned a new car and drives an older model. I was even told that one time he kept his car so long that it started gaining value because it was becoming an antique. He and all of his family members live in modest homes. They do not live lavishly, nor have they ever done so. As even stated in Shiny Happy People, Mr. Gothard lives in the same home he grew up in. There is no mansion, no extravagant property, no elaborate vacations, cars, and etc. The truth is, this claim by Brooke Arnold and Joshua Pease is just a flat-out lie. No two ways about it. And the idea that shiny happy people would put the claim that Mr. Gothard and his family were living lavishly and taking advantage of their position at IBLP for financial gain is completely unfounded and slanderous. This is typical of claims Pease makes throughout Shiny Happy People, with the help of Brooke Arnold and the producers. Another completely false narrative. And what about Brooke's alleged visit to Mr. Gothard's house? In the last video, I laid out reasons I do not believe her story. One reason among many others is that she claimed there was a TV in his home.
And he took us across the living room where there was a TV. Seen it. He does have a TV in his house. He's breaking his own rules.
Wow.
So
He's never owned a TV and has never had one in his home. Since I did that video, I also found out some new information. Mr. Gothard keeps a visitor's journal of every person who comes to visit him. He says he does not have any record of her coming to visit. Yes, it is possible that though he has made these journal entries for years and has consistently written down all his visitors, he may have somehow forgotten to write her down in his journal. But the fact remains, he has no record of her alleged visit. He does not remember her. His assistant does not remember her. No one in his realm of friends remembers her visit being mentioned or discussed, and many of the details she gives are inaccurate. Considering the other things she was definitely lying about in Shiny Happy People, I do not personally believe her story. But I'm open to hearing from the friend she says went with her to give at least one more account of this alleged visit. And another odd thing, just small thought, being this visit allegedly took place in 2018, wouldn't she have taken some pictures with her cell phone of at least his house or her in Chicago at the time? I would love to see some of that kind of evidence. Sad to say, Brooke also talks quite often about her drug and alcohol use, and it's clear she has been involved in using substances that alter her judgment. I hope she gets help for her personal issues. Next time, were the Duggar children really neglected and unable to navigate normally in the real world by being homeschooled and using the IBLP homeschool curriculum? Once again, Shiny Happy People misrepresents the Advanced Training Institute materials, and the simplest search reveals the truth. You won't want to miss it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you here next time.